Good evening, everyone. Dhamma greetings to all of you. So welcome to our bi-weekly Sutta discussion with the Venerable monks and nuns in North America. So let us begin our session by paying respect and homage to the Buddha. Let us recite Namo Tassa 3 times together. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Sambuddhassa. I pay my respect and homage to him, the Blessed One, the Worthy One, the fully enlightened Buddha. Okay, so it is such a great joy to see all the venerable monks. So today we don't have any nuns, and I see the venerable monks and nuns are kind of busy with doing Dhamma Dutta Seva, Dhamma mission in different countries and the regions. But at least I'm very happy to have some monastics here for this discussion. So those who are here, I would like to introduce them to our audience. And so today we have Venerable Tridhar joining the discussion from Florida. And then we have Venerable Buddha Datta. This is his first time joining the discussion. I encourage him to join the discussion. He's joined the discussion from Akron, Ohio, United States. And then we have Venerable Somo Wangsha. He's joined the discussion from Vancouver, Canada. Then we have Venerable Bhante Saranapala. He lives in Los Angeles, but now he's doing Dhamma Dutta Seva in Sydney, Australia. So very grateful to have you. Thank you so much for joining the discussion all the way from Sydney. And then we have Venerable Shanta Sobana. He's joining the discussion from Los Angeles. And then we have the most venerable Nanda Mahatero, Nayaka Mahatero. He's joining the discussion from Long Island, New York, United States. And I would like to welcome all of you to our bi-weekly Sutta discussion. And also I would like to give a warm Dhamma greetings to our Dhamma friends who are here on Zoom platform and also who are watching this program on Facebook Live and YouTube Live. And so today my personal Facebook timeline has been restricted for the day. It says that I'm posting too much, which I don't, but maybe this is an automatic thing. So it did not let me post this program in my timeline. But I have a Facebook page, so it's going live on Facebook page. It's also under Bhante Saranapala. And so people can always watch this program and YouTube live as well. So today we are having our 91st bi-weekly Sutta discussion. And last 2 weeks ago, we had the most venerable Bhikkhu Bodhi. And he actually greatly appreciates what we do on the programs here. And he said it's good to see the young monks doing this kind of discussion, and it brings them a lot of joy. So we had a special retreat, the one-day retreat organized for him, and we had house full. All the attendees were very joyful, and they were very pleased to learn the teachings from him in person. So the theme of the retreat was finding joy in the wholesome And so the people, so I did not give it Facebook or YouTube Live, and people wanted to, they were kind of curious to know what the Most Venerable Bhikkhu Bodhi had to share with us. And some people asked me whether I could discuss this topic, the sutra that he focused for the greater benefit of everyone. So I have titled today's discussion as Discovering Joy, Letting Go of the Unwholesome and Cultivating the Wholesome. And so it is based on a small, very short discourse sutra of the Anguttara Nikaya. And normally those who do the summary of the sutra, they are not here today. So I would like to, but I am always prepared, emotionally prepared for anything. You know, if there's no one, I can always do the discussion and do the PowerPoint presentation. So before we continue with the discussion, I would like to bring the PowerPoint presentation of the sutra. So let me bring it to the screen so that you can see it clearly. Here we go. So, so this is the sutra known as the Kusala Sutta. And in Pali, unwholesome means akusala, and wholesome means kusala. So, you know, we have a monk. His name is Bhante Kusala. Unfortunately, he couldn't be here. Otherwise, I could have asked him to do the summary of this short discourse. And so Buddha says, abandon what is unskillful, monks. It is possible to abandon what is unskillful. If it were not possible to abandon what is unskillful, I would not say to you, abandon what is unskillful. But because it is possible to abandon what is unskillful, I say to you, abandon what is unskillful. If this abandoning of what is unskillful were conducive to harm and pain, I would not say to you, abandon what is unskillful. But because this abandoning of what is unskillful is conducive to benefit and pleasure, I say to you, abandon what is unskillful. The next Buddha continues, develop what is skillful, monks. It is possible to develop what is skillful. If it were not possible to develop what is skillful, I would not say to you, develop what is skillful. But because it is possible to develop what is skillful, I say to you, develop what is skillful. If this development of what is skillful were conducive to harm and pain, I would not say to you, develop what is skillful. But because this development of what is skillful is conducive to benefit and pleasure, I say to you, develop what is skillful. So that is the direct translation of that short sutta in Pali. And of course, this is the translation done by Venerable Thanissaro Bhikkhu, and he's translating this. He's translating this Pali word akusala as unskillful, which is unwholesome. And so developing unwholesome or unskillful is conducive to harm and pain. And then Buddha is actually giving us a different therapeutic teaching, basically shifting our attention to the opposite of unskillful or unwholesome, that is skillful and wholesome. In Pali, we say kusala. And once we cultivate the kusala, the skillful, wholesome things, and that would be of immense benefit to us, bringing pleasure. That is benefit and pleasure. Hitaya, sukhaya. That those are the Pali words we see. Hitaya, sukhaya. Hitaya conducive to benefit, sukhaya conducive to pleasure, or happiness and joy. So this is the brief teaching, and of course, now I would like to open up this discussion to the venerable monks, and I mean, if you, I think it would be also nice for us to know. I have done this chart of this. Of course, this brief sutra is not talking about the details, what is unwholesome or wholesome. So in various sutras, there is a section in the Anguttara Nikaya. It is called the Sadhu Vagga. In that Sadhu Vagga, we see many sutras, at least 11 sutras by this Asadhu Sutta, Anariya Sutta, Akusala Sutta, and Anatta Sutta, Dhamma Sutta, Sasava Sutta, Savajja Sutta, Tapaniya Sutta, Achayagami Sutta, Dukkhadraya Sutta, Dukkha Vipaka Sutta, etc. So, yeah, under these sutras, we see Buddha is clearly making a distinction between the unwholesome and wholesome. He is explaining what is unwholesome. So unwholesome, these are 10 akusala karma, 10 unwholesome deeds, 3 physical, 4 verbal, and 3 mental. So killing any living beings, stealing or taking what is not given, sexual misconduct, and the false speech, slanderous speech, harsh speech, idle chattering, and the covetousness of greed, ill will, and wrong views. So these are 10 unwholesome deeds we find in these sutras. And then in the same sutras, Buddha is also highlighting the 10 dasa kusala karma, 10 wholesome deeds. So abstaining, again, those are 3 wholesome bodily deeds, 4 wholesome verbal deeds, 3 wholesome mental deeds. So the abstaining from killing any living being, abstaining from stealing or taking what is not given, abstaining from sexual misconduct, abstaining from false speech, abstaining from slanderous speech, abstaining from harsh speech, abstaining from idle chattering, no covetousness or no greed, goodwill, and right view. So these are 10 wholesome deeds. And actually, Venerable Bhikkhu Bodhi did not focus on these 10 wholesome deeds that we find in the sutras, like in these 10 sutras, but he basically focused on the 10 meritorious deeds known as the wholesome, the healthy, finding joy in the wholesome. So he talked about the basis, the 10 bases or the domains of cultivating wholesome. So they are like doing charity, humility, doing meditation, paying respect, doing services, sharing of merit, rejoicing at the sharing of merit, listening to the Dhamma, and preaching Dhamma, and righteous belief. So he kind of spent more time on explaining these 10 wholesome or meritorious deeds or bases. So this is how we find joy. In order to find joy, to discover joy. So basically, that's why I have titled today's topic saying letting go of the unwholesome, visit 10 unwholesome deeds, and cultivating the 10 wholesome deeds. Two sets of those 10 wholesome deeds. So this is what I wanted to highlight. So now I can basically ask a very simple question from all of you, all the Venerable monks. And I know Venerable Sanata Vihari said he would be here only for 45 minutes, then you have to go for Pindapata in Australian kangaroo land. So how do you see these teachings, to make it very simple and for the lay people, what's the significance of these 10 wholesome deeds and 10 unwholesome deeds? And is it possible for people to reflect on this to maybe give a serious thinking, reflection on this, discovering joy?
Vandana Bhante, Vandana to all the venerables. We can make it very easy, Bhante. We can talk about good and bad. Very simple, right? We don't have to get too technical with the words.
Yeah.
Good is what is beneficial, right? Leads to happiness.
Yeah.
Well-being. And then bad is what brings pain and suffering.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So kusala is that which leads to happiness and well-being, to what is good, to what we all want in life, right? The pursuit of happiness, to be successful in a truly holistic way. And the akusala is the things that lead to pain and suffering and destruction, and that create obstacles in the world, and conflict and fighting and greed and hatred and all the things that we don't want. Yeah. All the things that make this world so difficult and painful, right? So the akusala is what leads to the things that we don't like. And the kusala is the things that leads to the things that we truly like and are for our long-term benefit. Mm-hmm. So I think that's one very simple way, an intuitive way that we kind of naturally live our lives anyway to understand these two things. But also, kusala, when we talk about good and bad here, I think we're talking about kind of a moral, right? Yeah. There's like talking about virtue. Sometimes when we say skillful, it seems kind of neutral of value, right? It doesn't seem like there's any kind of spiritual part to it. It seems more mechanical, or something like that. But when we mean skillful here, we mean that which leads towards benefiting us in a spiritual way, right? We're not talking about like skillful, like in making more profit, right? Necessarily, right? Or becoming more famous, like, oh, this is going to make me more skillful to be a better influencer online, or to be the next CEO of a big company, or to exploit people around the world. That's not the kind of skillfulness we're talking about here. So we're not the kind of skillfulness we're talking about here. So we're not talking about efficiency in that kind of sense. We're talking about skillful in the sense of leading towards nibbana, towards awakening. That's right? That is what's good. That is the ultimate happiness, right? Nirvana is the supreme happiness, supreme well-being. So practicing that which is skillful leads us towards the highest happiness, towards liberation, towards enlightenment, towards awakening. So that's why it's good, right? That's why it's kusala to practice it. And the things that are akusala leads us away from nibbana, and also towards suffering, towards hell, towards the animal realm, towards the hungry ghost realm. So in that sense, it's unskillful because it takes us away from our goal, right? From what we truly want in this world, which is the supreme peace of and bliss of Nibbana.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that's very interesting. Like in day-to-day life, right? People are complaining of their life. Sometimes they say, "Oh, I'm not good enough. I'm not doing enough. I'm not feeling great. Something's bothering me." And when you listen to this story, what they are complaining about, and so then you see, like even I think when you do counseling, let's say, okay, and I know you're doing counseling, or you're training to be a full-time counselor in the California, and I know you have done some work on counseling. So when people come to us for some help, spiritual support, for psychological support, and the stories they are telling us is of course there are various kinds of stories, but then when you examine deeply, you see that is related to rooted in either one or two or more unwholesome deeds. So, but for me, I think this is part of the Buddha's teaching, the Four Noble Truths. Like idang dukkhanti, like this is the suffering. So we have to acknowledge the fact this is the painful thing, and so what caused it. Then once you know, then maybe we can just say, okay, if you want to get out of this problem, then maybe you can consider letting go of the habits, attitudes, bad, unwholesome, bad habits, attitude, mentality you develop. Maybe now it's time for you to cultivate something positive. So, and then, but that is the difficult part for the people. Now, how do we help such people? Like in simple terms, do you have any clue?
Bhante, what I've noticed is that people fall into absolute thinking, like all or nothing thinking, black and white thinking, or dichotomous thinking.
Yeah.
So maybe they did something bad in this life, and because they did one thing bad, then they say, I am a bad person. Absolutely. Yeah. I'm an evil person because they did one bad thing, right? Or something bad happened to them and they go, oh, I'm unworthy because that one thing that happened to me lets me know that I'm not worthy of love. And that they have this kind of all or nothing thinking, right? Because one thing happened, therefore everything is bad, or I'm completely bad. So it's about kind of guiding them, right? Towards the facts of life, like exploring their life and helping them look and see all the things they have done, both the good and the bad, right? And to see both there. Why is that important? Because then we begin to break them out of this absolute thinking. We need to take them away from this sort of michaditi, where they identify only with the bad things, right? They're over personalizing, attaching, and clinging to the unwholesome. I am the unwholesome. I am the bad. I am the papa. That's who I really am. Right? We have to show them, actually, didn't you help your mom last week? Oh, yes, I helped my mom. Oh, okay, there's one good thing that you did, right? Oh, didn't you offer the monks dana last month? Oh, yes, I did a sangha dana. Oh, so you actually both, because we don't want to deny their pain and their suffering and these kind of difficult things or bad things that they did. They did them and they really happened, but it doesn't absolutely define them. It's just one of the many things that happened, right? So I think this kind of ability to kind of show people both the kusala and akusala, both side by side, right? And then try to guide them towards the kusala, right? And not to focus too much on the akusala, but I think that's really the beginning of the process.
Yeah. So it's like, even I think someone has asked me as we were talking about this form of truths and starting with dukkha. And so now the one young lady asked me this question. So what if people just get numbed to this dukkha, and so then how do you help such a person from to get out of that numbed suffering of pain, right? I mean, this question is begging a deep answer with different perspective. Like, do you see any connection to that question to like those who are kind of got used to this numb? Their pain has become numb. Like they don't know that this is not a suffering anymore. This is not a pain anymore for me. So they get into a state of indifference, like it's okay for me. So, but then how do we help such a person get out of this numb suffering of pain?
Usually, Bhante, my experience is because the person is being overwhelmed.
Yeah.
So they try to adapt to a situation where they're feeling overwhelmed, and maybe they're powerless. They can't take action to relieve themselves from this pain. So one solution that is available to them is to close themselves off, right? So now I can do that. Maybe I can't stop this person from hurting me. Maybe I can't, whatever. But I can close myself off, right? And that helps them manage and deal with the pain that's out of their control, right? So we have to see it from that kind of like they're not weak. They're actually trying to do something to help themselves. And this is what they did to help themselves because they don't know any options, so they don't have any other options available to them. The most important thing for people in this situation is to start feeling connection or to feel trust. So in the beginning, we have to kind of leave all the techniques and leave all of Buddhism and everything to the side and just build a trusting relationship with them, right? That there's someone in the world who's not going to hurt them, someone who cares about them, someone who's going to be there with them, someone who's not going to judge them to the unwholesome, right? I think that's really the beginning of this process of how we get someone, because this person has this kind of feeling like, well, I'm in no control. There's nothing really I can do. People are out there to hurt me. What's the point of doing anything? No one really cares about me, right? I don't really matter. We have to show them the evidence that, no, it is true. At least there's one person in this world, which is me, right? And then from there, their mind will open. Well, if there's one person, maybe there's two. And if there's two, maybe there's 10, right? And then they go, okay, maybe in the world there are like more good people or people who actually won't hurt me or care about me, right? So I think it starts just with trust and building that relationship.
Yeah, that's a good advice. Yeah, building the trust. I think if you don't trust, then you don't feel like doing anything, right? Okay, so thank you very much, Sanat Vihari. Stay around, and if we have more time, I will ask you more questions. And meantime, if our audience have any questions for Venerable Sanat Vihari before he goes, please write the question. I will check. I will monitor the comments. So next, I see Venerable Shanta Sobana from California, Los Angeles. Venerable Shanta Sobana, what do you think?
Thank you very much, Venerable Sir. With my heartiest respect to all the Venerable monks. So actually, this is a very good time-wise sutra.
Yeah.
Because this sutra directly Buddha addressed to monks, and there are certain sutras Buddha himself, without any question, he directly addressed to monks. So when we go to the background of the sutra, we can see it's kind of like giving some kind of motivation to monks. And other thing is, we can see there are some other few sutras related to the same name. Before the Kusala Sutta, there is Akusala Pahana Sutta, and the Kusala. This is actually in some books, this sutra mentioned as the Kusala Bhava Sutta, and there are some other sutras in Sanyutta Nikaya called the Kusala Sutta, and also Anguttara Nikaya, Chattanipata, there is another Kusala Sutta. So when we go to all the sutras, we can see this name, the Kusala, Buddha using different ways in different time period times. So understanding that is very important, because rather than going to just the surface level of categories, to get into the very depth of the meaning of the word will give us a very clear understanding what here Buddha tried to mention. So when it comes to that, the background of the sutra, we can see before the Buddha, people used to believe about the God or the creator, or maybe they used to believe some outside powers related to their personal situations and related to their spiritual practice and related to their even the common day-to-day situations. So still we can see there, when situations come to us, there are a lot of people look solutions from outside world, and sometimes they believe it happened because of the bad karma. Sometimes they believe it happened because of the someone else interference to us, our life, as a higher power. And we can see people into many other things and look solutions for their whatever the situation they go through, but they don't have the ability to see the inside their own mind and see the most of time situations happen not because from the outside but because of our inside condition. So here the Buddha give this confidence to monks, because when we see the sutras we can understand the very meaning of the word. The Buddha, he was a kind of like such a compassionate and a real teacher. That's the important part. So as Venerable Sanat Vihar mentioned, when it comes to the trust, so especially when the monks believe what the Buddha taught, so regarding the Buddha as his character, so because we can see as Prince Siddhartha, he used to live his life and very luxurious life, and he left everything, and he went through behind many other teachings, behind many other people and all the other hard ascetic practice, but finally he got only the death. That's it. He almost died. No any result. Then he came out of that all and start to look himself, and what is this and where I can find this real truth. So that's why when he go to monks and give the advice, really you can do this, because that monks already knew his journey, and they build up that good the trust. I think that is very important even in day-to-day life, that the most of time the one of the chaos happening in us, slowly we losing the trust in between these humans, and we slowly replace it with the machines and technology. And now people come to a point to trust the machines and the technology and whatever the Google says more than whatever our human common sense. So that's why it is very important to get into the very meaning here, what the Buddha tried to mention. So when it comes to the word called the Kusala, I was looking these commentaries and regarding this, and then in the Attasalini, it's one of the very beautiful commentary regarding the words. So it's go like this: the Kusala, karmically wholesome or profitable. And another thing is salutary or morally good. Also, it mentioned good health, blamelessness, productivity of fortunate karmic result, and all the profitable result that bring out of the bodily, verbally, mentally actions. So that is the one meaning of the kusala. And other thing is, when I look the word regarding this sutra, so there are a few ways that we have to understand. One is conventional level of moral and wholesome and profitable activities. So basically people mention as good actions, good behavior. But the kusala is little bit more deeper than that.
Mm.
Here not talking about just to being good.
Mm.
Because in the Abhidhamma, it's mentioned there are three kind of roots that we have related to these all actions.
Mhm.
In that also it talk about wholesome action, unwholesome action, neutral actions.
Mm.
Those are not related to the outside world.
Mhm.
Those are related to our that inside. That's mean our karmic behavior related to volitions,
Mhm.
mental formations, or the thoughts, or the intention.
Mm.
So we are responsible for our intention, not the outside world.
Mm.
So then, when it comes to that, we are capable to build up good kusala, the good karma, relate, because we are responsible for our intention. When we are take the fully responsibility regarding our intention, so whatever the outcome going to come out of our bodily, verbally, mentally actions, it always going to become good for us and good for others.
Mhm.
So that is one thing. And other thing is another way that it mentioned that this kusala means three kind of wholesomes. That one is greedlessness, alobha.
Mhm.
Another one is hatelessness,
Mhm.
adosa. And third one, non-delusion or the amoha.
Mhm.
These three also mentioned as the wholesome action.
Mhm.
So when it comes to this, how it related to our life? So as that in the beginning that I heard that the discussion that the most of time we have to understand in the ultimacy is what the Buddha mentioned, chitta, chaitasika, rupa, nibbana. So that's been the underneath this all are the three, the nibbana, that the layer, the already within us.
Mm.
So that's mean that whatever the character that you build up or personalize and you put identity on you, and you are not what you think.
Mhm.
There is another version of you inside you, maybe you never saw that. So rather than personalizing that whatever the situation that you go through, it is better you start to find some open space within yourself to become more better person. It is possible. That is what here the Buddha mentioned.
Mm.
Because you are capable to develop wholesome actions. And Buddha mentioned, otherwise I don't tell it is capable.
Mm.
So you can do it. Otherwise I'm not going to tell it. You can do it. So then the most of time we also advise for people. But in day-to-day life we see most of time we advise with blaming,
Yeah.
complaining. And we try to advise people by force
Mm.
and put all the bad thing and putting all the bad things on the top of them and try to correct them. But here what we have to understand, actually when it comes to any life situation, first thing we have to know, we have to have the ability to take the full responsibility regarding the situation rather than blaming it to others. Rather than personalizing ourselves and try to put a label on any situation related to outside people, if we understand that whatever happened to me, it because I am responsible for that, maybe I made a mistake or maybe my mind was not clear. And when it comes to the English word of unwholesome, there is a very beautiful etymological meaning. It's called uninjured mind.
Mhm. Yeah.
Uninjured person.
Yeah.
So mostly we are mostly kind of like the injured people. So in that injured mindset, if we try to find a solution, most of the time we can't do it. So that's why developing unwholesome lifestyle to become a kind of like a person to be more better in a physical way, mental way, social way, or even in the spiritual life, the first thing we have to understand, we have to have kind of like a newness in our mind. Rather than repeating our old situations, bringing from our previous situations to the present moment, if we are capable to see this moment as a new moment and give the opportunity for ourselves to become new, and I think it will help us to move forward. And according to this sutra, what the Buddha mentioned, that you are capable to, we are capable to become more better. So rather than hold it to, or rather than repeat the bitterness in us, why we can't find or take the opportunity to be better? It is our personal choice. So most of time when it comes to our life, what happens? We are the one who build up walls inside us. Sometimes we don't want to break that walls, or sometimes maybe we have no enough strength to break that wall. So that's why the Dharma, that's why the Buddha here mentioned to monks. So you can do this. So actually when it comes to today, and most of people try to become more successful in society in conventional level. So nothing wrong about it. But especially we can see there are a lot of people conventionally become successful, but still they cannot find very uninjured lifestyle. So then what we need to do, first thing we have to do, I think in our lifetime, in this present moment, whoever want to become more better, it doesn't matter whatever the situation that they go through, they have to remember, they have to start life with the spiritual foundation. That is what mostly we neglecting. So if anybody try to find the spiritual foundation and build up it slowly, and through that, if the person start to have a higher goal regarding their life to become more better person, I think that person can find that freedom or the success or the ultimately the liberation or the nibbana according to the Dhamma. But somehow, according to this sutta and all the other kusala sutta that I will look within these 2 days, what I found out, end of the day, we have to remember we are responsible for our life. Not our father, not our mother, not our brothers, sisters, not our husband, wife, children, friends and family members, not the politicians, not the history, not the religion, not the culture. We are responsible for our life. And at the same time, if we are capable to get that responsibility, we can do this. I think that's what I want to give the message as a message for whoever listening, that whatever the situation that you go through, it doesn't matter. Take the fully responsibility and start to find out yourself a higher purpose with the spiritual foundation. I think you can do it. So that's a very interesting point that you have brought up. Actually, we can continue with the same the insight you have shared with us. But before Venerable Sanatana Vihari leaves the discussion, is there any final thought you would like to share with us, Venerable Sanatana Vihari?
Not really, Bhante. I think Bhante Saranapala did a great job, and I think, as Bhante was saying, we're talking about in the kind of spiritual level of skillfulness in regards to morality, but not just kind of everyday morality of being a nice person, but morality that takes us towards nibbana. So when we think about kusala and akusala, we're thinking about awakening, right? Liberation. We have to hold it in that kind of context and not in a worldly context. That's it, Bhante.
Yeah, thank you. Now you can have a very enjoyable Pindapata in Sydney. Think of us. Enjoy the sunny weather over there. So thank you, Venerable Shanta Soban. Actually, you have brought a lot of new insights, or you shed a lot of lights regarding to this kusala and akusala thing, becoming injured, you know, you talked about the newness, bringing something newness into our life. I think this is pure psychological and very much scientists have talked about this. I think I will touch on this, but before that, let me go to Venerable Trudeau from Florida. What's in your mind?
Salutations to all of the venerable and most venerable present today. Thank you for having me. It was too bad that Venerable Sanata Vihari left early, but there was a conversation between me and him one time where he spoke about how he believed in free speech. And it was a very brief, you know, monks, when we talk, sometimes we talk a little too fast, but there are certain things that captivates my mind. And I circle back around our conversation, especially monks that I admire and respect. Venerable Sanata Vihari is one of them, where I got to meet in California. And then I decided to have speech and debate in my head with what he said and his position and standpoint on it. And now my position and standpoint is that I believe in right speech. There's a big difference between the two. Why are we talking about this today? Why am I bringing this up in this sutta? Well, as a social media monk, someone called me yesterday a TikTok Urban Buddhist Monk. So they got part of your logo into my TikTok. They just merged it together. I thought that was very funny. So, because I don't exempt praise or blame, you know, growing up myself, I think all of us were once foolish. When I was a novice, and treading the water with my teacher, there was one time we were in line to go to the monastery, and we were waiting for a very old senior venerable walking, and I made a joke, and I made the joke to my teacher because I felt comfortable with my teacher. And based upon that joke, he turned to me, and I'll never forget it. Some of the discipline, the way that they discipline us, we will never forget it. It just left such a penetrative mark and impression. Is what makes us, you know, good teachers down the road. And he turned to me and he says, "What did you just say?" And I said, it was just a joke." And he says, "Your joke carries a minimum rebirth of no more than a minimum rebirth of 500 rebirths. Minimum 500 rebirths for that joke that you've made to a possible arahant in front of us." And I felt this lightning rod went through me. And of course, I had to repent, and the procedures for repenting that night. And I sat for a very long time, and I should have known better, because I was trained at the District Court of Appeals, 2nd DCA here in Florida, as an interpreter, and they trained us very well in right speech, what to say, what not to say, and say it as it is. The Buddha says it as it is. This is what it is, and it can't be what it's not. So if someone cusses at a judge, this is what it is, and it can't be what it's not. So if someone cusses at a judge, we interpreters are to say the exact words that they just uttered out of their mouth. We're not to shield. We're not to make it look good, make it look better, because it is our people. If they say the blank word to a judge, we say the blank words to a judge. So my whole life, and then, you know, working in field of medicine and law, I had to follow these procedures and guidelines in order to avoid the praise and blame, and particularly the blameful life, blameful. Likewise, in many more examples, I went to Thailand and walked with a monk that we were friends on Facebook, and then I said, "Will you go into Bangkok with me?" And he says, "No, No, I cannot. And the pause in between when I made that request, because I didn't want to go into a city I was not familiar. When he lived there for 6 years, he just received his master's degree from MCU. But when the way he said it, I caught it and I go, that's okay. You don't have to offer an explanation. I understand. And really I did. I mean, obviously there was drama in Bangkok that maybe him and somebody else I don't know about, don't know, don't want to know. So right speech is terrible. Today is about cultivating the wholesome and let go of the unwholesome. And it starts with our mind. In the Dhammapada, verse 1, everything is preceded by the mind. And it is we manufacture thoughts. Thoughts leads to speech. And every day people commit suicide based upon wrong speech. Every day people commit suicide based upon harsh speech that disrupts, that hurt a person's actual reputation in the world, in society. And people don't realize the consequences of wrong speech towards another meditator, particularly towards another meditator, because you don't know if they are a saint or not. You don't know if they've entered the stages of sainthood. So if you're gonna pick fights, probably leave the meditators alone, the one that is practicing Dhamma alone, because you're really treading that water of a minimum rebirth of 500. The understanding of karma keeps one, for the good Buddhist, for the good practicing Buddhist, a comprehensive and understanding, effective understanding, penetrative understanding of karma holds you responsible, and that you have no choice but to let go of the unwholesome, and that you have no choice but to cultivate the wholesome because of the workings of karma. Generating negative thoughts, ill will alone, you're already giving birth, rise to karma. All the merit you have achieved in your life could be out the window just based upon one unwholesome thought. And you must hold yourself responsible what that definition of unwholesome is. A lot of people are very intelligent and they just want to be their own lawyer in their head and says, well, I don't think in my head that is unwholesome because this is what she did to me. Oh no, back up a little bit. It can't be unwholesome because she never forgave me, so I don't want to forgive her, or him or her, interchangeable, right? We play these games in our minds. We suffer greatly. We bring this in our bed. We bring this to our pillow when we go to sleep at night. How is that? How does that bring you peace? How is that discovering joy? How is that the actual practice of the Dhamma? I have a dream, like Dr. MLK. I have a dream one day we live in a country where only right speech is allowed. That would solve a lot of problems. Why? Because it stops samsara. It immediately stops samsara. It stops it on a human level, nonetheless a Buddhist level. Generational trauma, or the repeat cycle. Samsara just means very unwholesome repeated cycle of mode of operation by and through body, speech, and mind of a human. And thank goodness, I mean, that we have the legislative branch, and I hope somewhere down the line a country, perhaps a Buddhist country, chooses that we're going to make it legislative intent for right speech, and that is in the textbook, and it traces back to Buddhism, crediting Buddhism for such a momentous move and the benefits for society as a whole, a kinder, wiser, mindful nation, the movement that Venerable Saranapala has been pushing. And if I were to push a movement, it would be adamant, pure conviction, unshakable faith and conviction for that right speech. Very important. Then when we move to the wholesome, cultivating the wholesome, I find that out of all the lists that you all seen on the screen earlier, you may have to go back to it. The meditation aspect of it helps you, because when you see your mind moving 500 miles an hour, so is your speech move 500 miles an hour. So when a good, qualifying, authentic, experienced teacher tell you, what you just told me, say it in one sentence. Say it in one sentence. So it forces you to have to meditate on right speech again. Because obviously the teacher's trying to help you think more clear, more slower, make it easy to understand, like how all of us are doing here for all of you to understand the Dhamma. Try to make it in one sentence. And then the great challenge for fun, try to, narrow it down to one word. And no different than Buddhism, 84,000 teaching, 45 years, 45 Bible, different Abhidhammas from different countries. If we summarize it to one word, Buddhism can be described one word: mindfulness. You have that, you fix everything. Everything is cured. So I just wanted to have that standpoint out there that touches along with karma. And anytime when we have wholesome or unwholesome, kusala, akusala, people don't really think about the karmic aspect of that, and there are real consequences of it. It ages you. Dying with a burden in your heart is not a good death. It's not a beautiful death. You want to be remembered as a beautiful person with body, speech, and mind dedicated for all. People saying good things about you, and a good, favorable rebirth. So just wanted everyone to reflect on that. Very, very deep for me. Obviously, growing up as a young man, I made mistakes, and obviously in my novice days I was disciplined, but I learned from that, and some things I never forget. And hopefully, by keeping our world safe on the practice of sila, that we reflect on minimum 500 rebirths. Thank you so much.
That's true. Of course, we are practicing Dhamma in order to fix ourselves, to correct ourselves. And because of the ordinary nature, let's say the Putujjana, we have this tendency to make mistakes. And it's because we have a lot of weaknesses. And so due to these, of course, all weaknesses are blind. They make us emotional. They make us blind, and then we don't see that we are slowly falling into the lot of troubles. And as you said, mindfulness is the key. We have to be mindful of what we are doing. If you're not being mindful, this unmindfulness, unconsciousness, is going to make us fall into deeper and deeper troubles. So one thing that I really wanted to highlight on that word the Venerable Shanta Sobhana used, the newness, and I think this is in line with what the famous American neuroscientist and psychologist Richard Davidson highlighted. He has done a lot of research into meditation and all of these positive emotions, and then of course he realized the fact that doing meditation, cultivating the positive emotions like metta and karuna, love and compassion, mudita, joy, it has the power to make you not only healthy, but it's going to make you joyful. And then he summarized his research into three things, and he said, no matter what happened to you, you can always go for positive changes. and you can always fix yourself. You don't have to just be in the past, in that painful, miserable past. You can go for a happy, joyful life. So, and once you choose to do the positive things, and of course, thanks to modern technology, the positivity taking place in the brain can be measured. And then last thing he said, uh, in order to train yourself for the positive changes, then you have to train yourself with something new. So you have to do something new. So this is where I think we are focusing on the akusala, the unwholesome, the unskillful deeds made us fall into deep trouble. And although it's a deep trouble, but we have the power to get out of it. But for that, we have to consciously learn to embrace something positive. And in this case, I think this is where Buddha is talking about the kusala. The akusala push us down, and kusala push us up. Like that is, I think that's something we have to understand. Behind and all this, the 10 wholesome actions that we see, behind this action, there's a unknown, the deeper emotion involved in it. Behind every action, there's a emotion involved in it. I think that is what we need to be mindful of. So I would like to bring those that particular slide into the screen. So I would like to highlight on those things and then see whether what Venerable Shanta Sobana, Venerable Tridao have to say. So
Yeah, I had I'm not sure who you want to call on first, but I wanted to touch up on the domains there that you have on the screen also.
yeah, so let me just bring that. I think this is too long. Yeah, so these are the 10 domains of wholesome, like the practice of giving, that is dana. I mean, this is about discovering joy. We are talking about the joy, the happiness, the health and wellness, and the domain of morality, the domain of meditation, the domain of paying respect, the domain of service, doing services, the domain of sharing of merit, the domain of rejoicing and sharing of merit, the domain of listening to the Dhamma, the teachings, positive things, and also the domain of teaching Dhamma or talking about discussing the Dhamma, which we are doing actually every day, and also bi-weekly like this we are discussing a sutra, and then a righteous belief. So what is the significance? Like, do we see the essence of these practices in day-to-day life? This is what I would like to highlight. Yeah, very well, Fidel.
Okay, so two explanations here. First and foremost, the direct human benefit that we can experience now is supreme joy that no one can ever take away from you, even if you're sick or on your dying bed. You can always reflect on the memory of the charity that you have done, the morality that you have kept, the meditation that you have practiced, the respect that you have given to those who are worthy of respect, of service to humanity, society, and your family. Just going down the list, You know, when I visit nursing homes, rarely do I see happy people in there. They look very grumpy. That's because one can postulate perhaps they don't go down the list of what they actually did in their life, because, you know, particularly in America, people is all about them. This also touches a very, and I wrote down, you will overlook this small, simple, profound, significant factor in life that obstruct human happiness, liberation, and freedom. And what is that small, simple, profound, significant thing? And that is, it's not about you. That's it. If a person repeats that in their head, it's not about me, then they can see how the wholesome 10 domain here is for other people, dedicating body, speech, and mind for the benefit of other people. And by doing this, you climb the ladder of sainthood, you accumulate merits, and it just puts you to bed really good at night, realizing that everything I'm doing here is for good. And it doesn't matter what religion you actually believe, because all of the gods would actually agree that we got Christmas coming up. I mean, would you think that Christ would object this 10 domain if Christ sat with Buddha today? I don't think so. And I'm born, raised Catholic. So, you know, and the other thing is that when we talk about the workings of karma, the Buddha have already said that if you wanted to get 2 PhDs in karma, you still wouldn't know the exact working and mechanics of karma. So karma is something that I have extensively researched and followed through the many family cases that I have worked. And for myself, teaching to others is that because we don't know how it works, we can look at the way how our justice system works today and use that as a model of comparison and contrast. That means here in Florida or American law here, typically, if you commit a atrocious crime, obviously there are 3 degrees of felony: 3rd degree, 2nd, and 1st. 1st is the really bad one. And then above 1st degree, you have PBL, punishable by life. And then, well, what if you were a victim of crime and that's what, or a crime of passion? How do you tell the judge, you know, can you deviate from the sentencing guideline? So I want everyone to think, if you were to pass away and you go meet Lord Death, and Lord Death or Lord Karma, just pretend, you know, we got to like visualize so that we understand what hell looks like or who's in charge of what, just for context. And if you lived your life, you did all these unwholesome things on the screen on the far left, what explanation do you have? What defense do you have? Elements of defense, right? Everyone's got to have a defense. Do you have to now save yourself from going to hell or an unfavorable rebirth or becoming a worm or whatever in the animal realm, perhaps? And if a person can say, I'm sorry, I didn't know I was killing that living being. I'm sorry, I didn't know that was sexual misconduct. I didn't know that was false speech. However, I did in fact gave more and took less in my life. I practiced charity. I kept as much precept as I possibly could. You know, I respect to those who are worthy of respect. I listened to the Dhamma daily, and towards the end of my life, I was preaching the Dhamma to others, and I have righteous belief. So you can see that this list is very helpful, is that it weighs on the balance of the scale of justice, the balance and scale of your karmic actions. How is it going to weigh out for what you did in the past and how you're going to purify the lake of your karma? You know, you put salt water in lake, it's going to be really salty. You start adding fresh water in it, and eventually you're going to purify the lake to be fresh again. So, you know, we use a lot of analogy in Buddhism, but yeah, today is wonderful to see this clearly visible, and apply it to our life and to think about it on a more deeper level and have that respect for the workings of karma. Vietnamese people, very afraid of karma. You know, you will hear luật nhân quả, cause and effect, cause and nhân quả. You will always hear that within Vietnamese community. You will hear rebirth, tái sanh. You hear all these vocabularies at the dinner table within family systems and unit. It changed the entire country. Buddhism changed the entire country of Vietnam so that people can live more wiser and have this wise fear. But the wise fear ensured safety. The wise fear ensured happiness. But even then, there are still some bad apples. But I respect karma dearly, and clearly, if anyone were to see that list on the far right, you can see that this monk who is still alive, this young monk, practices all 10 that he just aforementioned. Where in the 10 did you think I fell short from that myself? So I can't preach something if I myself have not demonstrated that, is practicing that previously, in the middle, and towards the end, and not only practice it without anyone watching, but practicing it and be an example in front of senior teachers, and here locally. You can't show your face in front of the world and not practice these things. It wouldn't be right. It wouldn't be morally, consciously right. So I just wanted to contribute with that explanation of karma, because I think rarely do monks out there follow the workings of karma closely with direct scientific evidence for themselves. And but that's another talk. I'd like to yield the floor back to Venerable Santa Sobana.
Yeah, no, thank you. Thank you. Actually, that's a very interesting point you have shared with us. And I see there's a question from YouTube live. Someone, Bhavani, is asking a question. Is this all about developing Kusala Chitta through Eightfold Path, Bhante? So, Venerable Shanta Sobana.
Thank you very much, Honorable Sir. Again, actually, not about Eightfold Path yet. That's a very beautiful question, and I really thank you for that person who have asked that question. Because when it comes to the very mechanism of the mind, in Abhidhamma, it mentioned kind of like it's according to the Buddhist psychology, there are 52 mental factors. So those are the very key foundation of this all. So when it comes to all, that is what colored our consciousness. So desire, aversion, and restlessness, doubt, concentration, wisdom, knowledge, rapture, energy, these all mental factors build up our life. So as we see here, this all the wholesome actions, and of course, averagely, when we come to the present world, we see there are a lot of people. Of course, people are good mostly. That's why we experience life, this beautiful life like this, and we have to appreciate it. But at the same time, according to the Dhamma teachings, and according to the Abhidhamma, just doing something sometimes not going to bring us the effect. So I here give a little explanation regarding how this even the good or the bad, this mental factors work. So when it comes to that, out of this all 52 mental factors, the most powerful leader is the intention. So intention has power to gather all other mental factors towards it. And the intention has three kind of levels. One is hina, another one is the majjhima, and other one is the pranita. So the hina means the very lower level of intention, and the majjhima means the very middle level of intention, and the pranita means the very higher level, 100% clear intention. So when it even sometimes what we hear most of the time, people say, "Oh, Venerable Sir, we do dana, we of course we practice good life, and we practice meditation, but sometimes no good result." No? So when we come to that, most of time, of course, we do good things, but if we look very carefully, we don't do it with the kind of like a very higher level of mind. So sometimes, as example, people can practice generosity, giving dana. Maybe when people do dana, they invite for other people, and maybe just imagine one friend go there. So he have no idea what is done. He go there and he look around and how other people do the things, and maybe somebody else say, "Hey, come, help," and you also can offer something. So this person becomes so happy and he go and offer something. And then the next day he go to his friend and maybe having conversation. Oh, yesterday I went to a dana and I did a dana. He didn't do a dana. Because when it comes to that, he cannot claim that what he did, that he practiced as dana. And when it comes to meditation, and sometimes people drinking and people go through many other the day-to-day activity, they don't care themselves, they abusing themselves, and then when they visit us the doctor tell, oh, you have to practice meditation. So maybe the person come and sit and just close their eyes, and next day they go and tell, oh, I practice meditation, but I don't get good result. No, in Dharma it says there are 4 ways that you have to maximize your action. So one is the chanda, second one is the chitta, third one virya, fourth one vimansa. This is very important. Whoever listening to this, you have to remember chanda means the desire. So the desire means when you are engaged with your mental, physical, verbal action, you have to have a clear mental intention to be with it, to get a good result. And other thing is the chitta, the mind. Maybe you can do the things, maybe your intention is good, maybe while you're doing it, you are thinking about something else. No, you have to be in the moment, and you have to be present, the physically and mentally both. The virya, maybe of course we doing things, sometimes we don't have the internal energy. Just we try to maintain the physical level, surface level, we try to make everything nice, but we have that internal laziness, especially when it comes to good things. When we try to get out of unwholesome things, sometimes this the very nature of these unwholesome actions, they are capable to keep us lazy towards the wholesome way. So you have to have the effort, energy to go with your physical, verbal, mental, this profitable action. And other one is the vimansa, investigation, and you have to examine, you have to know. And before you, if you go to any place, and if you go to practice meditation, if you go to do a dana or any other wholesome action, before you go, maybe you can go to ChatGPT and ask, what is dana? What is meditation? Because you have to know about it. Most of time, what happening today, people do a lot of good things, but we have a meaning crisis. They have no idea what it means. When it comes to meditation, they have no idea what is the meaning of meditation. So that's why, even though we practice a lot of things, when it comes to result part, or when it comes to internal effort, the effect, sometimes we don't have much result, because we do it without the strong desire, kind of like a very less level of desire. So that's why you have to have the pranita, that's mean the higher level of desire, higher level of mind, higher level of energy and effort, and higher level of understanding. If anybody perform any action with that, it's always going to become very, very successful. So, but the thing is this, that when we do unwholesome actions, most of the time we have these all 4 qualities. You know? We always have. Just imagine a thief. He's not going to just go and take something. No, he will plan. Huh? And he have a strong desire to do it. Just imagine suicide or a serious killer. And see, they are waiting for the right time, and they investigate everything, and they study about everything, and they go for it. So most of the terrorists, they become successful because for the unwholesome way, they have this all good quality, all the qualities. But when it comes to wholesome action, we think just doing something good will bring us the good result. No, it's not going to happen, because if we don't have, as I mentioned, and out of that 52 mental factors, if our intention is not strong enough to gather all other mental factors around it, always that it doesn't matter we practice Eightfold Path or we practice any other the good things, we're not going to get the good result. So that's why always need to understand and have the clarity regarding us, go inward and have the clarity again and again, and brush up ourselves, clean ourselves, going through introspection and see the very condition of our own mind while we are performing some good action, and going to have a good intention, the desire, good mind, the energy, effort, and more and knowing about it. And that way I think it clearly opened a very big path for us to become successful in spiritual. If you want you can use it for a spiritual way, and even for the conventional level of success. So still you can use this all the qualities. So that's why it is not about Eightfold Path or numerically we can mention, oh, go for these 3 things, go for these 10 things. No, but what is the condition of the mind? So that's why brush up ourselves and uplifting our quality of the mind is going to change everything. Once you have that 100% clear level of that all these 4 qualities, the whatever one action will help you to liberate you from this whole samsaric journey.
Yeah, that is very interesting. It's not just the Noble Eightfold Path. I think the Noble Eightfold Path, those qualities that they just mentioned, that the virya, right, is also samma vayama. So,
yes.
Of course, these noble 8 factors are also good, but there are more to bring into this practice, as you highlighted those chitta chaitasikas, and especially the intention is also very important. And then another thing that I would like to bring to everyone's attention, like, this is the a strong mental mental factor of aditana that requires to bring a positive change into our life. And I think when we focus on the akusala chitta, so akusala dhammas, those unwholesome or unskillful factors, and once we continue to allow ourselves to engage in such unwholesome actions due to lack of mindfulness, and of course we become conditioned to them. And so that once they become conditioned, and of course they also bring some unfavorable the results that we have never expected or thought of. So now in those that especially asadu section of the Anguttara Nikaya, that where Buddha is using some words like asadu, that is not good, and anaryo, ignoble, I mean, he's referring to those unwholesome deeds, 10 unwholesome deeds. Akusalang, unwholesome. Anatto, unbeneficial. Adhammo, unrighteous. Sasavo, full of defilements. Savajo is wrong, and Tapaniyo, we have to put them aside, and Dukkhadrayo, these unwholesome deeds cause sufferings, pains to arise continuously, and Dukkha Vipako, and they cause a lot of suffering, the painful results. So then once we shift our attention to those 10 wholesome deeds, and then those 10 wholesome deeds are what Buddha calls sadhu. They are good. They are excellent deeds. Ariyo, they are noble deeds. And kusala, these are very wholesome, healthy, skillful, atto of many benefits, very beneficial to us. And Dhamma, this is the righteous thing. This is the reality, the truth. This is how it should be. And Anasavo, and these 10 unwholesome deeds help us to remove the taints and the defilements. Anavajo, these are the blameless actions. And then Atapaniyo, that we should not put them aside, but we should embrace them. Sukudriyo, once we choose to cultivate these wholesome deeds, they will keep, it will be like a fountain of happiness, joy. Sukha Vipako, they will bring happy results. So I think these terms are very important, and I just wanted to highlight on these terms. And as we are concluding today's 91st biweekly sutta discussion, and I just wanted to highlight these words because these are very important for us to keep in mind.
Venerable sir, if I
yeah.
have 1 minute.
Yes, please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. Actually, this all try to mention how to get out of the suffering.
Yeah.
So that is the very key point out of this all the teaching. So the suffering is not a kind of like an idea.
Yeah.
It is not about tomorrow. It is not about yesterday. The suffering that we go through at the moment, right now, right here. So, but the problem is most of time people still didn't suffer enough to understand we are suffering. So maybe we are the one who protecting that our suffering as satisfaction. So when the day we understand that we are the suffering is right now, right here because of it's all my decision, I think that is the day the person start to find out the solution, because the suffering is the great teacher. Because when we look at the world, why people do this, everything, all these machines, technology and gadgetics, this everything is here to escape from suffering. But here what the Buddha mentioned, that escape never going to find the right way. It always, maybe we try to bypass that suffering, out of go through all the consumer product. But the real way to get out of the suffering, end this becoming or the birth, the way to do that is finding the real solution within our own mind. And it is very sustainable way of journey, not depending from the dharma even. Once we understand that it is within us, I think we are capable to find that liberation within ourselves right now, right here.
Yeah.
And it is not for tomorrow.
Yeah.
It is not for next birth. So that is why it is available for everybody, whoever want to get out of it. It is a personal choice. I think that is one of the beautiful gift that what the Buddha gave to us. The only thing is, it's kind of like a gift card we have. We don't want to claim it.
Yeah, thank you. It's like karma sakomi. I'm the owner of my own karma, right? So it was such a beautiful and very meaningful, productive discussion we had, and I love the topic, discovering joy, and abandoning and letting go of the unwholesome and cultivating the wholesome. And we actually shed much more light regarding this beautiful Dhamma. So I'm very grateful to all of you. So now let us respectfully invite Nanda Naika Hamdru from Long Island, New York, to recite the all the Fatima verses for us.
Sabba papats akaranang kusalas upasampada Sachit pariyodapanang etang buddhana sasanang Khanti paramang tapoti tikha Nibbanang paramang vadanti buddha Nahi pabbajito parupaghati Samano hoti parang vihetayanto Anupavado anupaghato Patimokkhecha sangvaro Mattanyutacha bhattasmin Pantanca sayanasanang adhicitte ayogo etang buddhana sasanang
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Thank you, Bhante Nanda, for beautifully reciting the Ovada Padamokha verses. And that was very soothing and calming. Thank you. And I'm very grateful to all our venerable monks and our Dhamma friends for joining this discussion, for this meaningful sutta discussion, which shed more light and which helped us develop our own spiritual path. And this was such a great meritorious deed. And as per this Dhamma Sakacha, Dhamma Desana, we performed the wholesome deeds and good karma. May this good karma bring all of you more happiness into your life, and may these meritorious deeds will help all of you to enjoy longevity with good health. May Devas, celestial beings, continue to protect and guard all of you with the divine blessings for your health and safety. Sabbe Satta, Bhavantu Sukhitatta. May all sentient beings be well, happy, and peaceful. So, with this loving thought in mind, today I would like to conclude 91st biweekly Sutta discussion. And I'm looking forward to seeing you all for our next discussion, 92nd Sutta discussion. Until then, all of you stay well and happy.